Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God! Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
This is very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Well, that was a challenge last time we were here and last time we were racing. The challenge, of course, was how Brad Ryan got himself into position to give Sonny Kanchan a little bit of a run for his money. But it doesn't matter how much of a run for money it is. It's all about how much of an ability you have to go out there to attack the brand new race that comes forward. It's the national layout of Hockenheim. And of course, it's the place where Jim Clark watches over. This is incredible racing here. And you've got yourself your Simworx Royal Rumble, or your kind of Rumble that you got through your Roadster Rumble in full action. I'm Jake Sperry. Cam Dance along with me for the ride as we bring ourselves to Germany and to a track which, by all intents and purposes, is going to be a track all about consistency and working an opportunity. Cam, this is going to be a little bit tougher than what is traditional with the Hockenheimring, for example, the full circuit that we have out here. We're not running that full run all the way to the Spitzkehre down over at the hairpin. We get this jutting section of double apex right, which will act as the overtaking place, and it is going to take a little bit more maneuverability to make the overtakes happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's not quite going to be as much draft on the way down towards that hairpin, shall we say, or I should say double right, more or less, with the way that it is. But it's certainly going to provide some excellent racing and should keep things rather close as well with the way this track layout is. So it'll be fascinating to see what's going to happen and who may or may not be at the front of the field tonight.
And who will or will not be at the front of the field tonight is going to be all about what we are here for. It is a championship which is being effectively run away with at this point in time by Sonny Canchen, and at the start of the season, were we coloured surprise at all by his abilities to do so? 684, 618 of Lee Harrison, and 608 to Aaron Oliver. So the two teammates, second and third, providing most of the challenge out there at this point in time. So good drivers like Tom Huggan and Glenn Wood, 6th and 7th at this point in time. But this is only after 3 rounds. It does mean that one slip-up round of a couple races for the likes of Canchen or somebody else bring himself into play. This is how the Roadster Rumble AM standings look after a very, very short period of time. Brenton Bull in control of that, but only to the tune of about 16 points. This is a much closer championship, and it's a 3-way fight. Bull, Foster, McKenzie.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very, very close in the AM standings, and none of these guys can really afford to rest or play it safe at all, especially with the narrow margins that are between a lot of these drivers, especially those in the top 10s. So it's going to be interesting to see how that championship's going to form over the course of the rest of the season and who's going to end up at that pointy end with the consistent points finishes.
And consistency is very much king in a championship like this. You keep those consistent points finishes coming in on the books, you'll have nothing to worry about the longer that things go. We are finding ourselves here in qualifying at this point in time. We're about 4.5 minutes away from getting ourselves into play. A couple drivers finding themselves in position that we haven't seen them so far this season. First real start we've seen for the 141 of Ben Snell, who has been, who for last season at least, Cam, was, I would say, someone who had the most miserable luck I think I've ever seen, as we see this hairpin in full action. Double apex, attack off the exit, immediately into the Mercedes corner, but 90-degree left, which is such an interesting challenge, but looking likely for pole position at this point in time. But you got Ryan in second, Canchen only able at this point to manage third.
Yeah, it's very, very tight near the front, and currently Snell with a very, very nice little advantage at the moment, but with Canchen still yet to go quicker. It looks like he's actually finished his qualifying run as well, so it's probably not going to be an improvement there for Brad Ryan as well. So the top 3 all having finished qualifying at this stage. It's going to be up to see what possibly someone else can maybe do on their qualifying runs and what laps have got left to possibly extract a little bit more. Joel Proctor, one of those drivers, on his final flying lap, so we'll see what lap time's going to be like for him as he crosses the line. Yet settle up some of the lap time, comes across the line and puts himself in 17th.
Yeah, not bad at all there from Joel Proctor. It is always going to be a tough challenge around Hockenheim. There's going to be a lot of drivers in this series, and those times are going to be key. Brody Cook out there on a lap at the moment for Team Perhaps, looking to cross the line. 40.6 at the moment, and that will go to a 40.2, so a much needed improvement, puts him just behind Wayne Losh, so 12th place at least for this point in time. And also got some new drivers jumping in, and one of them right now out there on track. First lap cam for Lachlan Phillips. We'll be hoping to improve, but it won't do you much good if you're spinning just before the Sud curve. Still though, John Thorne out there on circuit and looking to give as much as possible at this point in time in the 690 machine, just warming up the tyres, trying to get the last stages of laps sorted out there. And this is one of the things really that you look at, Cam, around a circuit like this. It's not as easy as meets the eye, so to speak. It's very much about getting yourself up to speed. And this first corner, that Nord curve, is very much a corner that puts the fear of God into people.
Yeah, you're absolutely
well,
right.
Yeah, certainly. Cam, it's towards turn 2 now, the entry to the Parabolica.
Yeah, and a very, very technical first sector, obviously very, very high speed as well through turn 1, where you've got to make sure that you carry as much speed as possible, but not wanting to be too aggressive with that inside curb, as we've seen in the past. Some drivers being caught off guard quite dramatically before you head down through the Parabolica, where you're trying to obviously maximize your run down through with your exit out of turn 2 and then through the double right. Probably going to be one of the more, I'd say, important passing opportunities, with the fact that most of the corners after this are all very, very flowing. The Mercedes running, because of the lack of the run down towards there, probably not really going to offer up too much of an opportunity.
No, it certainly isn't. And you're seeing now with John Thorne heading through that very tough right-hander, and then the arena comes into view. Mobile 1, the right-hander, always sweeping, narrows itself way down into elements of track which were built all the way back in the 1970s. This arena section, the Sachs curve on camber, always difficult. And you got the left and the right here, the sweeping section into the two rights, which marry up that drag strip on the left-hand side, and the Sud curve to finish off the lap. Making that charge over towards the line then, John Thorne putting a lap on the board. It's a 141.763, and it is good enough there to be in the lower regions of the positions that we've got. But qualifying done in the books, and it's going to look as follows then here for this opening race. Ben Snell on pole position, with Brad Ryan and Sonny Canchin second and third. Lee Harrison will go from 4th position, with Tiny Venables in 5th position, and Marty Turner for Chicken Up in P number 6. Following that is Glenwood and Leading Amateur in 8th position. Great work there from Lucas Stasi, getting that one sorted, with Nick Wood in 9th position, and Ashley Norman rounding out the top 10. Stasi, sorry, is a pro driver at this point in time.
And you can have Brody Cook and Caleb Patterson on row 7, row 8. Lucas Claver and Moz Moroz will be hoping for a bit better of a run at this round, that's for sure, after not quite the most ideal round last time out. And then row 9 is going to be Matt Van Egmond and Damien Seeger.
Certainly is. You can see down here Steve McMahon a little bit out of position, row number 11. Likes of Greg Holmes back there, 23rd. Mark Foster in 24th position. Likes of Neil McKenzie will be looking to get some AM category championships in view. Lucas Micallef down the order, as well as Ben Ferguson, Anthony Connors, and you can see all the way back now the likes of Simon Smith, Bard Rodkin, and even John Thorne that we were on board with for that lap. Well, here we go then. So we're already there, green flag in the air, and we are underway from what is Hockenheim. 15 minutes or 15 laps, whichever will come first, most likely 15 minutes, as they will run in towards turn number 1. Snell taking the outside line, getting it sorted how it's needed. Ryan second, Canchin in third. They will run, of course, to the Ironfart Parabolica as their next real port of call. A little bit of too wide there, as the likes of Marty Turner looking pretty good. It looks like Nick Wood also making a pretty good start to things. And now they're starting to gear themselves up here. This is the technical challenge today, as side by side, Canchin goes here with Brad Ryan.
Yeah, he had a thought about going a little bit longer, but decided to back out of it. Going to send it to the inside, though. Brad Ryan not quite going to be able to get alongside up enough, but it's going to hold off Lee Harrison in behind a little bit, 2x2, further back, just in behind as well. Marty Turner getting shuffled out a little bit by Glenn Wood, but for the most part, everybody doing very, very well to keep things clean.
Handful of drivers had troubles there towards the rear through turns 2 and 3. So their issues have been duly documented as they charge on towards the arena section then for their first lap as they funnel on through. A bit of too wide goes all the way back there to about Todd George, who gets by Caleb Patterson there in the bright yellow, and just behind him is Luke Claver trying to get into position. Almost a bit of contact there as they go through the Sachs curve and across the left and the right chicane as they look to attack through. Glenn Wood still holding off his places, but a lap very quickly put into play, and this is not the sort of track where it's for the faint of heart. You can build those gaps up. You can see just how much they're pushing out to the final corner there.
I'm not quite sure who that was. I think it was Wayne Loshno, Luke Claver getting very, very crossed up on the exit of the final corner, just clipping the gravel on the outside to unsettle the car, but 2x2 just up the road as well. Marty Turner sweeping around the outside of Glenn Wood, Nick Wood around the outside of Ashley Norman as well. So the chicken and up cars not quite having their best of luck and following each other through, but at least one car gained, one position I should say, gained for them. But it's on for the lead of the race as well, as Brad Ryan is going to look to possibly put a move on Ben Snell. Not quite going to get it done at the double right, but he's looking very, very hungry.
Well, this is the point that we were trying to make. It's going to be a very tough run to get moves done at that section of road. It's not what you would call the most conducive track for overtaking. It is going to be a difficult one today as they run through the right-hander and really try and get as much of a drive towards the arena once again as they go through. You can see how close they take it to the outside wall as they drive through. There is Lee Harrison in 4th position. Knows he's got to start scoring some points here over Sonny Canchin. Canchin's a very consistent driver, knows the exact dimensions of his vehicle when he's out there and racing, and it very much shows when he goes out there and he battles. He's someone who knows how to be patient in these sorts of styles of battle, and when he gets himself into position, it takes quite a bit, really, Cam, to go and stop someone like Sonny Canchin.
Yeah, you're absolutely 100% right there. That Canchin is certainly a driver that's very hard to beat, especially once he gets out front and starts to pull away from everybody else, especially since he's pretty much master of these small little MX-5s. Brad Ryan, though, up the inside of Ben Snell. Snell's going to try and hold it around the outside of turn 2. He's going to have the inside for the following a slight kink, and he's just going to end up holding on to the lead of the race there. Canchin still looming in the background as well, but Brad Ryan having not too bad of a run out of the second corner there, and he might get up the inside. Here comes Canchin, though, up the inside, nearly on both of them. Decides to think better of it. It was slotting behind, but Snell still around the outside through the double right. He's going to be the inside for the following corner, and he's just going to be able to hold on to the lead of the race here. Brad Ryan is not giving this one up. A slight bit of contact between the two of them, and it's all going off behind them as well, with Harrison trying to find a way on by championship rival.
He certainly is. Now down the inside, that's Tiny Venables. Get it with a little bit of tap here, tap there, getting to that inside, and I think he's just about to steal it going through. Absolutely is. So wonderful overtake, moves up into 4th position, and this is the sort of fine margins that you have. You don't quite secure the move, then someone else is going to go and attack and try and take that away, and that's exactly what we saw with Tiny Venables making that pass. So for the moment, Ben Snell able to hold off that lead, and you know, this is one of the keys actually to this race, is that it's going to be there, and that's not good. That is the car of Caleb Patterson, 4th in AM, and now very much out.
He's had a moment there. It's the back end of the circuit somewhere, and he's ended up in the gravel. I'd say there's probably been contact between himself and someone else further back, and there's another car in the lane as well. Luke Claver also coming onto the lane, so problems there. I'd say possibly both involving those two drivers. Unfortunately, their first race at least is going to be probably more than likely over, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely looks that way. Kanchin now has moved up into second position, but Brad Ryan hasn't given up, using the outside and the draft from Ben Snell, who takes that very aggressive line. Venables now going to dive down the inside and try and pick up third here. Brad Ryan left the door open. He's got the inside here for this 90-degree left. It feels like such a much tighter corner as you go through. It just continues to go on and on and on. And you're flicking back right before you know it to that next section. And again, Venables looking to move to the inside. The more, though, that Tiny Venables decides he wants to try and push the needle and go too wide, the more he's going to cost the entire train behind him a bit of time. Harrison, Wood, Turner, Wood, Norman, and Cook. Yes, you did hear me say Wood twice. There's 2 Woods in the battle. But the key here, if they start making gaps, they're going to start running away, those front 2.
Yeah, certainly right. They're going to start to pull away from the rest of this group, led by Brad Ryan as well, who currently is trying his absolute best to catch up to Snell and Kanchin. Kanchin starting to close in rapidly on Ben Snell, but that pack behind still within striking distance at least, so they're going to have to try and work together. But Venables is looking very, very racy, using all the AstroTurf and curb and a little bit extra as well. Try and keep up with Brad Ryan. He's going to look to the inside of Brad Ryan as Venables, but Ryan going to sweep around the outside and hold on to that position, and this is not what he wants. And here comes Harrison as well to try and get a move done, but not quite going to have the momentum.
Well, all the road taken away, and Lee Harrison having to do a lot of work because Aaron Oliver having a power outage pretty much puts an end to any of his championship hopes. They go through the right then at the hairpin. Another little chance there. Glenn Wood starts to have a little search now on the back in 6th position. It's a really interesting scrap. It goes all the way back to Brody Cook here, so the top 10 all fighting hard for it. And one of the few tracks really, Cam, where you can say it quite honestly, these drivers do not get a chance to breathe.
Yeah, there's not really much of a straight at all around this sort of layout for the Hockenheimring. It's very, very quick and very, very short lap. As Ben Snell's around and nearly ended up in the wall. He's managed to gather it back up, but he's dropped a huge number of places. He's going to rejoin just in behind Wayne Losh, so not what he will have wanted at all, and that's going to be interesting to see what's happened there.
It looked like he lost it all on his own. We'll see on the Virtual Racing School replay. Ben Snell is not one with luck in this machine, but as he was gearing it up, going through, we'll take a look from an aerial perspective at this. It will best illustrate the issue that we see at hand, and this is where it's going to go wrong. Through the right now, watch this. He just gets a little bit on the grass, on the inside, trying to be too aggressive, and he just spins it over to the inside, unfortunate not to find the wall. Sonny Kanchin now your race leader, and already now we're starting to see looks from drivers who have capitalised on that mistake and are looking forward, and Glenwood is the most aggressive of them as they went to turn 2.
Yeah, we're trying to make a move happen on Lee Harrison. Didn't quite manage to make it happen. That outside line through turn 2, very, very strong to keep the momentum up, but he's going to look up the inside at the double right-hander, but Lee Harrison going to do the crossover on him straight away, but he's going to be stuck on the outside for the following corner. We'll see if he can make that outside line work. Wood staying defensive and staying on that inside, but Harrison having to give way in the end, and those two fighting has really created quite the gap to that top 3.
Was a nice bit of gearbox there as we moved on forward through that section of road, but the position made by Glenwood to gain up into that next position. Marty Turner will be there now looking to search, so too Nick Wood as they go through. As a little look then from Ashley Norman trying to get the pass done here on Nick Wood, and through the S's, the left and the right, he is going to get the overlap and he's going to get it done. Lovely little bit of overtaking on the exit of the Sachs curve is what we would call unorthodox.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's usually all about that inside line, but getting around the outside is very much possible and certainly unorthodox, like you said. But ended up making it happen in the end is actually Norman still having pressure from behind in the form of Nick Wood. Nick might look for a move here. He's going to nearly look to the inside. Norman goes a little bit defensive and very, very deep on the brakes as well on the way into turn 2. Gets very close to his teammate Marty Turner. Nearly runs into the back of him, but he's at least able to get back to having a little bit of buffer room with Nick Wood behind him.
It's starting to form a top 3 at this point in time. Tiny Venables in 3rd, Brad Ryan 2nd, and Sonny Kanchin leading the field at this point in time. They run through towards the very, very important left-hand bend of Mercedes, which leads, of course, to that very fast-flowing right. And this is where Kanchin's getting most of his advantage at this point in time. So he's doing a good enough job at this moment to mitigate most of the damages here in this race, but most of the calm is here before the storm. They know 3 minutes 37 seconds. It's going to get quite aggressive in the last 2 laps.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to get very, very heated in those final few laps of this race, and with obviously 3 minutes left on, or just over 3 minutes left on the clock, it's not going to be too much more racing. I'd say they're probably going to get the white flag next time by, so there's not long left in this race as Wood makes a very big mistake, runs wide, and that's going to allow Harrison to get a run and be up the inside on the way down towards turn 1. He's just going to clear him on the way into the braking zone. Nose to tail, quite literally separated by nothing there on the way through turn 1. Is Wood going to look for a possible move down on the inside of turn 2? No, he's not. Harrison's going to hold onto that position and be very, very happy, because now the two ahead are also battling very hard. Side-by-side contact between Ryan and Venables through turn 2, and they're going to be side-by-side nearly on the exit of that corner down towards through the Parabolica. But Brad Ryan is trying everything he can to try and catch back up to Sonny Kanchin and get in within striking distance.
There's one mistake, one corner, that's all it was. Wood absolutely fires it back on the inside, trying to take this place away, and is going to be very much able to manage that. That's a comfortable move, but Harrison's not giving up either. Look at this, wheel to wheel, and again they're there. Second group starting to fight as well, all the way back there as they go through Ben Snell's group now, which has the likes of Stasi in it. Losh, Paradiso a lap down. They were all trying to get through. Todd George on the front at that point, but you're really seeing here this group all forming back together again. And again, the front 3 have got themselves back into line, and they'll be looking at the last 2 laps of this race, if not last lap of this race here, Cam, with anticipation. They know they want that 1 place, and a victory would do them a lot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it'll do them a lot in the championship hunt with how close it is. It might be 2 to go. We'll find out at the end of the next lap as they're going to come across the line.
It should be 1.
And it is white flag in the air as Bunny is throwing that thing around. So it is 1 lap to go here for that top 3 and the rest of the field. Harrison too far back to be within striking distance of the top 3. Ryan shows the nose for the lead of the race on the way down towards turn 2. Single file between the top 2 at the moment. Venables looming in the background as well, so don't count him out at all in this possible fight for the race lead. But Brad Ryan is trying to set this one up as best as he can, and Sonny Kanchin going defensive.
Defensive, but needs to. This is one of the keys to getting it done. And Brad Ryan's going to try around the outside here. A little bit leaning between the pair of them. Covers off the main overtaking place. But now you're going to start seeing aggressive moves. Venables as well trying to line up here as they go in towards the Mercedes section. And if you're not attacking, you're defending. And all of a sudden, Venables here is giving Kanchin a lot of help for that extra 1 place. Snell and also George side by side as they fight for their places. But into the arena for the final time in this opening race. Venables now with a chance to attack, and Ryan's going to have to defend everything on that inside in through the Sachs curve. Hug the inside, runs all the way out over the AstroTurf there on the exit. But as they make that run through, it's been Venables attacking that has given Kanchin that little bit of release. Only a couple of tenths of a second, but more than enough. And it means that Sonny Kanchin again continues his hot run of form. Victory here in the opening race at Hockenheim.
How about Harrison nearly getting Venables at the line as well? The drag race nearly made it work, but just not quite in the end. A couple drag racing to the line as well, further back down the order, but just not quite able to make it happen in the end. McCulloch and McMillan, though, fighting it out for these minor positions further back in the field as well on this last lap through the Sachs curve. Is anything going to happen? No, it's not. So there's only going to be one more opportunity, really, to try and get a move done here. Is it going to happen? No, it's not again. So it's looking like McCulloch might just be able to hold on to this.
Yeah, and you're seeing here through the final stages of the track, everyone's battles do mean a lot. Points mean pretty much everything, and as they make it to the line, they will finish line astern, and the last few stragglers will make their way over. And really a very entertaining opening race, and once again a lot of things falling into the lap of car number 59 by happenstance there, and a lot of skill. Sonny Catchin picking up the win by 0.4 of a second, nearly half a second over Brad Ryan, with Tiny Venables in third ahead of Lee Harrison, who worked hard to get onto the back of that group in fourth place. Glenwood would pick up fifth with Marty Turner sixth, Ashley Norman in seventh, Nick Wood then in eighth, ninth belonging there to Brody Cook, and Ben Snell rounding out the top 10.
And then you're going to have Todd George coming home in 11th, Lucas Stasi 12th, Wayne Losh will bring it home in 13th, Miles Moroz 14th with Seeger 15th, Mark Foster 16th, 17th we'll go to Matt Van Egmond with Joel Proctor, Dave Gogol and Jamie Willits rounding out the top 20.
Yeah, we're already moving over towards the second race then of tonight. Anthony Connors and co looking good there, 21st, all the way down there, the likes of Lachlan Phillips on his start going to P30, as they are starting to line and grid themselves up at this point in time. And you can look down, likes of Luke Claver not having a good race there in the opener, and that will only go and continue. The likes, of course, of Tom Huggan not down there, able to get any laps. Same for Aaron Oliver, same for Lockie Haverkamp. So some work there to be done in race number 2 for some drivers. For others, though, who were out there and racing, they know this race 2 is important. Catchin will have control from the front. A lot of drivers will now have to try and pick and choose their way through in this second lot of 15 minutes, as there's the green flag, and we get ourselves underway. A traditionally good start from the front drivers. Then as they go through, maybe Glenwood has a chance to attack then against Lee Harrison as they go in through the Nord curve for the first time. A nice clean start then from the first rows they go through, and immediately it's Tiny Venables who's looking to attack. Brad Ryan's going to have to defend this one in towards turn number 2, but he sweeps around the outside of the Einfahrt Parabolica, and easy does it. There's not much Brad Ryan can do to attack back. They're immediately trying to be aggressive, and troubles already. Ben Snell, was that around? Yes, it is.
Yeah, Snell not having a great adventure here today at all, having 2 spins in 2 races so far, and a bit of drama further back as well. Ray Harrison and a couple of others caught up. 3 wide, though, further up in front of the field, as Venables going to get shuffled out with a little bit of contact by Glenwood. 3 wide again, why don't you, with Brad Ryan getting sandwiched between himself and Lee Harrison, and Harrison going to get around the outside of it. Brad Ryan up the inside of Glenwood is going to be Tane Venables as well, getting into second position, and now Catchin is just absolutely running away with this.
They've completely forgotten that there's a victory on the line, and if they're going to be fighting that aggressively as they go through, and somehow gap gets made for Brad Ryan, who's all over the show as he comes off of the exit there of Mobile 1 in towards the Sachs curve. They've really got to try and tame it back. You can't be all aggressive if you have eyes of victory on the opening lap. Yes, track position is important, but look at how much it's cost them. Sonny Catchin's probably just reveling and laughing in his seat right now, because he knows they're out of the draft range, and he knows it's going to take him a minor miracle to get back to him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to take them a lot of work to catch up to Sonny Catchin, who's going to have a lot of pace on his own out there in the clean air, and then everybody else behind is going to want those positions. So it's going to be an absolute nightmare for Venables, who's going to need to do a lot of defending to hold on to this position. But at the same time, you're going to be torn, because you're going to want to try and work together and catch Sonny Catchin.
Certainly are. And if there's anything to go by, this is going to be a long old trek to get on forward. A bit of side-by-side then as Wayne Losh on the losing end of Lucas Stasi's very neon aesthetic going through and picking up the place and having to go to the outside. And you've got to be careful here. Section of road. There's a bit of grass on the entry, of course, into the corner that makes life very, very difficult. And if you are too wide trying to make that run going in, it's so easy just to loop the car on that little slither of grass.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very, very easy to get yourself caught out by a small mistake like that, especially when you're fighting as hard as everybody is further back in the field at the moment in this massive group of cars. So you've got to be very, very careful not to make that small mistake and make sure that they don't drop any more positions than they currently already have.
Yeah, and they've got to try and stay in range of the next group because Todd George started to break away. You can see a little bit further down the likes of Foster, Mark Foster, your AM category leader, making some good progress. He's got Matt Van Egmond just behind, and Van Egmond's doing a very, very solid job, actually, in the AM category battle. Those are the top two in AM. They finished 16th and 17th in race number 1. They'll be looking to try and gain those places here in race 2, one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time is going to be the very, very key thing about it, because if you do it too quick, you're going to end up possibly causing yourself a little bit of drama with the fact you're going to be holding yourself up later on down the road and trying to, or struggling to catch up to those further up the road. So you have to make sure they're working together and being smart about their moves and where they do them as well, and not holding themselves up.
Absolutely. And we're seeing battles all through the field at the moment. We've got a bit of too wide almost for Todd George, but you can see it there, up and a little bit of contact, slide on the exit as well for Brodie Cook. It's very much feeling like the secondary battle once again, and look at them as they try and go through. It's such a, I would say, twisty and technical track. Every time you think you've got an overtake around here, Cam, you are tripping up and you are treading on eggshells around this place. You do not want to be the driver that runs into the back of someone else. And here comes another little look. Wayne Losh has Moz Moroz just behind, trying to figure out a way to make passes.
Yeah, he certainly does have Moroz behind him, and Moroz trying to make do with what he's got at the moment. Not too bad of a finish in the previous race, and looking to possibly make that a little bit consistent as well. Currently sitting in P13. Spot up from where he's starting. We're hoping to try and move up a few more and make up for what was not particularly great round at the previous race we were at. So we'll be trying to move forward. But at the front, Tame Venables, a massive amount of curb through turn 1 there, up on 2 wheels, using as much as he can, try and catch Sonny Canchin, which they have actually done quite a reasonable amount of. So Canchin possibly even just check. Oh, not what he will have wanted at all there with Venables.
Well, that's not ideal. I'm sure that Raymond there didn't want to make that contact. He was trying to stay as far out of the way as possible, but a little bit of contact brings everyone back in. And this is the disaster that they don't want. Woods being uber aggressive here. 2, 3 different moves of line, trying to get himself around the outside. And again, this is a great battling aesthetic, and he's being pushed here. I'm sure they're going to turn each other in a minute if they're going to continue battling like they are, and they lean on each other through this section. And there they go, both of them taking each other out, and you'd say that was pretty much the result that was going to happen between those two, fighting as aggressively as they were.
Yeah, you could see it coming from well far back and from many laps back. In fact, you could see it happening at some point in this race, unfortunately. So Venables and Wood won't be happy with what's happened there between themselves. Have fallen just outside the top 20 now. But what this will do is this will help Lee Harrison, because he'll be rubbing his hands together, knowing that he's now going to be on for a podium finish here, and he's going to score some very, very good points if he can get by Brad Ryan and stay ahead of the 2 Chicken Up cars on his tail.
But they've allowed the gap to Sonny Canchin again, and that's going to be a long, long haul to get that back. Canchin on that lap absolutely flew through a 139.8 on that attempt, and Brad Ryan a 41.3, having to not only pick apart a way through that battle, but having to deal with those behind. Now the Chicken Up cars go too wide. Turner and Norman lunging for the inside, and puts the block pass in on his teammate there, so they'll lose a little bit of ground, but Ashley Norman feels like he's quicker, and I'm sure they're in conversation with each other to say, come on, let's go. Dog's got to go eat, and that's a big wreck, and that's Wayne Losh.
Yeah, on the inside of turn 2 there, the two of them are coming together by the looks of it on the way down towards that corner, so they've lost more positions there. Have those two, we'll get a virtual race score replay to see how this little incident has unfolded between these two drivers. You can see them all scrambling to try and find a bit of road and avoid the lap car as well. And side by side on the way down towards turn 2. Our contact from behind actually has caused all of that to end up happening.
Yeah, it's a chain reaction. Losh really was joining in, I think, for the sake of it, you could say, in some respects there. So, not ideal. The Neon Machine making a little bit of issue there. And you can see that's how quickly everything can fall into trouble. You can see just how congested a group it is as they go through. We watch this on the live pictures right now. Every time you get involved in a sprint, you get grumped into a group. And Lucas Stasi right now is very much in a very, very big group of cars, all trying to battle and gain those places. Into the pits will come Brody Cook with damage. But everyone here in and around that top 15, they're slowly looking at this as a 3-part series here for this race. There's one more race after this, of course, here, Cam. And if they're moving up through every race, then they've done their job effectively.
Yeah, they certainly have. They've done pretty much everything that they need to try and move their way on forward and eventually find themselves in with a very, very good shot of some nice points in the final race. But still gonna have to finish that race as well, bearing in mind, so it's all about making sure you can get to the finish line as Lee Harrison looks at a move up the inside of Brad Ryan. No success there, and the two chicken up cars just looming in the background. They're patiently waiting to see what's going to happen between those two in front of them, because they know they're going to be fighting hard, are the two in front of Harrison and Ryan, but at the same time they know they're going to want to get a move on at some point.
They're going to want to. You can't sit around and wait forever. It's very much the case of a driver waiting and waiting and waiting, and there is one constant, of course, when it comes to a race like this, Cam, and that is that old Father Time waits for nobody.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The old time doesn't wait for anyone at all, and you just got to keep on moving and try and get forward if you can. And at this point, I think it's fair to say Sonny Kenshin is not going to need to worry too much about that, with the fact that Brad Ryan and Lee Harrison aren't really matching him for pace at the moment. Currently a 30.6 and a 30.7 from Harrison, but a 30.9 from Kenshin, who's probably just in cruise control as well at the moment, so won't be too much of a gain for them, and they'll need to pick that up as well, with the fact that there's not too long left in this race currently, and the two chicken up cars also just looming in the back as Norman runs very, very wide on the exit of turn 2 there.
Certainly does. The gap 2.5 seconds to Sonny Kenshin out in the race lead. Harrison happy just to sit behind Brad Ryan in the fight for second and look for his move as and when it becomes available. There's a bit of lap traffic in front that they might be able to latch onto. It's Neil McKenzie, and if they can get onto the traffic and get by quickly, they might claw in a little bit more time over towards the leaders there, but it might be a case where Sonny Kenshin's just a bit too far away at this point in time. We were having a very good eye as well on the AM category battle, which is 9th, 10th and actually 11th as well. Foster, Van Egmond and Jamie Willits in 11th place. Now they are having a really, really good run, and you'd feel that there's some huge points on the horizon, and two drivers that are not directly fighting Mark Foster here for title honours at this point in time, but who will be, it seems, after the race meeting here at Hockenheim.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. These three currently on screen, all doing very, very well. They've all moved up quite a number of positions in this race as well. You have to remember that Foster started 16th, with Van England starting 17th, and Willits starting just inside the top 20 and 20th. So they've done very, very well to move forward and avoid all the possible incidents that have unfolded in front of them. So they're looking to get some very, very nice points, and Foster will be absolutely stoked to get another nice handful of points as well.
Big handful in 9th position. That's much we can definitely say at this point in time. And They'll be looking behind them as well in the final stages. They've got Joel Proctor there, but Brad Ryan, that gap now to 2 seconds, and he is really trying to get there. But part of it as well is trying to get away. Is back out and away now is Lucas Stasi, and it looks like he's had a little bit of a moment there going through at least the opening sections of the lap. So he will slowly get himself back to speed. He spun at turn 1 there, Cam.
Yeah, he has had a bit of a whoopsie-daisy there at turn 1, unfortunately. Not what
it was Venables again. A little bit of contact from behind, and that cost that. Let's look, though, at these two having a great scrap. This is 7th and 8th. It's the two teammates, Moroz and Seeger.
Yeah, the two teammates working together currently a little bit further back in the order as well. Moroz currently doing not too bad, considering where he started in this race, currently 14th, and that's a car around, and I think it was actually in the wall as well. Joel Proctor not being in the position that he will have hoped for. He's going to have to try and recover something. We'll have a look at the virtual racing score replay and see how this is unfolded. It looks like he's done it all on his own as he's just come through the back end of the section, clipped the inside curve, and it's just unsettled that car, and around he's gone.
Easily done here. It's a track of precision at Hockenheim, and if you don't get it right, you get it very horribly wrong, and the race can end up finished at this point in time. So the focus there, we are on the white flag at this point in time. Sonny Canchin, your leader, has been for the entirety of this second race, and all of the battling early on has just left that gap a little bit too insurmountable at this point. Brad Ryan has the legs, it seems, on Lee Harrison. There's nothing that Lee Harrison can do at this stage. He's trying to get as close as he possibly can, trying to set him up. They've driven away from the two chicken up cars in the 4th and 5th positions. But at this point in time, as they ran themselves through the Mercedes section, in through the long right that leads onto the arena, you feel now that Lee Harrison is trying to gear up a perfect charge. He struggled to get by Brad Ryan in race number 1 in a very similar situation. But again, as they challenge through, this is the chance that he needs. He's going to have to look the long way around the Sachs curve. If not, attack off of the exit, use the banking to advantage. And he might have a little sniff into the Sud curve. He knows he's got this chance then. He'll have to look the long way to get it sorted. But as they come to the line, it is going to be Sonny Canchin who will get the victory overall. It'll be 2 from 2 for him. The battle for second towards the line is Brad Ryan. He always had that held.
Yeah, I don't think, even if he got a really, really good run, I don't think that Lee Harrison was going to have much for him as Moroz is off the road, nearly having his teammate pass him on the way down towards the line. He's just going to hold on to that one in the end. Luckily got away with that, and Foster coming home with the AM win, so he'll be absolutely stoked to walk away with that. And looking like Anthony Connors is going to win out of this. Luke Claver, is going to win out of that little battle just up the road, with Todd George coming home to round out the top 20.
Ooh. You see there in the background someone in a lot of trouble. I think it's Glenn Wood again, and it is, who is facing the wrong way coming out to the final section of road. He was very much trying, and they can see the hit and a secondary hit, I think, there as well. So Wood was well out over here as we take a look at the virtual racing score replay. This is how quickly it can go wrong. And 22 makes contact, and Glenn Wood, front completely caved in, trying to figure out a way that he can get himself home. And he will limp it home, by the way. 3 wheels on his wagon. Oh! Now that was just chancing fate, you'd feel there, Cam.
Yeah, not really much he could have done there. My gosh, that is not the most optimal way to rejoin there, but luckily no one else involved in that incident. But Glenwood going to be very, very disappointed to end up finishing all the way down in what's going to be 40th place as well. But Sonny Canchin with another win.
Absolutely. A win this time of 2.3 seconds over Brad Ryan and Lee Harrison, who kept themselves calm, but ultimately the result was as it was there. Ashley Norman and Marty Turner, they'll certainly take those points in 4th and 5th place. Those are Those are comfy points that you'd say. Those are the ones that you look back on and go, we really deserved those. We drove a very, very nice, clean race. Nick Wood gets 6th position ahead of Mosmoroz and Damien Seeger in the 767 and 747s, with leading AM Mark Foster just finishing ahead of Matt Van Egmond.
And you're going to go over the page, and Jamie Lott's going to bring it home in 11th. Venables comes home in 12th. Gogol, McMahon, and Akalef rounding out the top 15, with Claver, Connors, Proctor, George, and Linus rounding out the top 20.
It's going to be a very mixed up race number 3. Mark my words about it. Brandon McMillan, 21st ahead of Philip Paradiso. Then Tony Vaselis and Adam Sharp there in 24th. You look down there, Lucas Stasi down in 26th. It goes all the way to Wayne Losh in 29th and Brody Cook in 30th. They're going to have a lot of work to do as they move through the field.
Yeah, they are certainly going to have a lot of work to do to move it through the field. And so a number of drivers who finished down the order as well, just inside the top 50 and just outside the top 50 as well, finishing either a lap down or more possibly. So it's going to be very, very tough for a lot of drivers, but there's a lot of racing to go yet, and still a lot can possibly happen.
Certainly can. And that is something worth keeping in mind that we see here, with everybody trying to get themselves sorted and into position. The keys of these races are to keep yourself, firstly, A, out of trouble in the opening couple of laps, and B, position yourself in the best possible manner to do so. And this is what has been the real struggle here at Hockenheim. Drivers, yes, have been able to place themselves into position, but a couple of drivers have had that mentality of it's all or nothing on lap 1, lap 2. That's not how you win these races. These are machines which, by all intents and purposes, you can make overtakes, you can be reckless with it, you can throw the car around quite a bit, but it's not the quickest way to do so. And I think it's very much shown in that race too, that a couple drivers got very aggressive very early on, and the race was over really before it even got going.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a very much a patience car, and all about keeping that momentum up, making sure you're not holding yourself up at all, leaving anything on the table, as it's very easy to lose time and speed through some of these corners here, especially at Hockenheim, where you've got a lot of fast and flowing sections. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the second race, whether we're going to see the very intense battles that we saw in race 2, or everybody being a little bit more slow and patient. We'll have to wait and see.
They can see the memorial to the legendary Jim Clark, the Scottish driver, a 2-time Formula 1 world champion who lost his life, of course, in a Formula 2 race there at Hockenheim many a moon ago. And that's the sort of driver that you talk about, Cam, and is even revered in high esteem as the quote-unquote hipster choice for the greatest racing driver that ever took to a kart. Was just able to take a kart and drive it so carefully, so lightly as he went around the circuit, and was able to take a very brittle and very fragile Lotus to many a world championship the same way that Graham Hill did.
Yeah, absolutely. And he drove it with great finesse as well. Just unbelievable how he was able to place the car and turn the car and just put it in ways that you wouldn't typically think it would be possible, but he was just able to do it in such a manner that it managed to work very, very well. And hence why he was just so successful in the way that he was able to come about those 2 championships.
Absolutely. And you'd feel if he hadn't have had that issue way back when, could have been so much more than 2. Could have definitely have been challenging Juan Manuel Fangio's 5 at the time, back in the 1950s, that he set the Argentine. So Hockenheim always has that doubled pass. They used to run all the way out through the various forests, and that there used to be where the Clark chicane used to be out there on track. We've got a very nice look at things right now and what this track very much used to be. And just on the side of the road, there is the memorial to get things sorted. But 2002 was the last time that we saw, Cam, the old layout finished and the new layout begun. Of course, the first layout, this one, that Herman Tilke found himself designing.
Yeah, certainly a very, very old classic layout was the original layout. Very, very fast and unbelievably enjoyable. Probably one of the harder tracks as well to actually be fast on, with the fact you didn't really have much ability in the way of what you could do to actually be gain time more or less. So it was very, very difficult. But this new track, very, very modern, very nice, and certainly does provide a lot of good racing at some times as well.
Well, here comes the challenge then of this final race. 15 final minutes. And here is where chances come into play. If you've got what it takes to move to the front, now is the time to make it happen. There's nothing else left on the line. And if they want to go out there, they want to challenge, they want to make this their own, you can see a Sonny Canchin on the front row. You've got to be alert to it in the very early stages of this one. Can't be too aggressive, though. Can't go out there and think that this race is won. Aaron Oliver did manage to get a lap in that second race. He's all the way back in 49th. We'll see how far he can move up through the field. Fortunately, we haven't seen any incidents on lap 1. But never say never. Lights, though, about to come on, though, here from Hockenheim. We are getting ourselves ready for racing action. There'll be no grid slot taken from the driver in 5th position. Marty Turner's missed it, and that will be a disconnection from the server that will cost him his run. Green flag. We're underway then here from Hockenheim for the final time here this morning, this afternoon, this evening. Someone taking immediate action to the inside, very far down through, as Harrison immediately moves up into second. There's Tiny Venables trying to make some charge early on in this field. He got himself all the way back up to 12th position in that race, and he's someone who's going to be looking to be very aggressive. In towards turn 2 they go, the Einfahrt Parabolica, and the challenge is already now about the championship duo. Harrison versus Canchin, and someone spinning, coming out of 2 and through 3.
Looks like Mark Foster is the spinner, so that's going to be brutal for his championship, and there's more drama going on with a big pile up through the back in the middle of the Parabolica as well. A huge number of drivers now with wounded cars as a result of that, and it's all going on at the double right hairpin as well. Glenn Wood forcing his way through to get more positions gained, but it's been a very, very good start for Lee Harrison to make his way up into second and be on the tail of Sonny Canchin. Brad Ryan, not a great start for him at all.
No, not a great start, and we're already seeing places being made up and down the order. Here comes a look, though, from Nick Wood. Around the outside, he'll go, and that will open up the inside as well for Moz Moroz on that inside track. So he's going to start searching and digging for it, and he is going to get exactly what he wants. Not going to get his teammate through as well, but ultimately that's where the bleeding gets stemmed here in the arena section. But look at the gap all of that has made already, and there's the 20 car going very, very slow. That's Matt Van Egmond.
Yeah, Van Egmond with a little bit of trouble there on the opening lap of this race, going slow. Not what he's going to want at all to start this race off, but the battle is on for the positions just outside the top 3 and just inside the top 5 between Wood and Moroz, who's going to look up the inside nearly of Nick Wood, but that didn't quite happen. Norman right on the tail of Moroz as well, so you'll be hoping to put a move on as it's on further back side by side with a slow car there. Gogol not quite up to speed.
Not quite there. No, you're absolutely right. And everyone's trying to make sure they've got that room. But in towards the hairpin once again goes Canchin, Harrison and Ryan. Your top 3 in this race right now. Canchin has led the most laps here today. That's not the surprising thing to say. But the longer that they wait, it's going to be how interesting this race goes. Nick Wood in 4th position will try and bridge the gap up to Brad Ryan in 3rd position. And as they continue to make their runs and go through, it has been a big pile up in the back. And Anthony Connors in the Extreme Racing car finds out why it is very difficult to keep yourself out of trouble when the car is stopped.
Yeah, we're just going to drop down the order massively there, and a move there up the inside as well from Claver on one of the other cars, and that's going to be a move done around the outside as well. So very, very nice move on Jamie Willits, is going to let him on by, and that one done, knowing that Claver as well is a pro, so not a silly idea to let Claver on by and just try and see what he can work with him.
Exactly. You get a lot of points if you just race to your own abilities, and that much has certainly been the case in the early goings right now. So There's been some really good work done. Top 3 once again are there and fighting hard, and it's on behind as well. There's contact. Ashley Norman turned around, and that will be also a spin for Mosmoroz, and they will rejoin with this third group as they go through and take themselves out of contention for the top 5.
Yeah, it was just the slightest bit of contact as well. Just looked like Norman turned on him a little bit too early, unfortunately, and the contact happened. Norman being spun around, and then Venables really nowhere to go into the back of Moroz and spinning him around as a result.
Yeah, that is as easily as an incident happens, and as quickly as it happens as well. Fortunately, no one else getting caught up in the middle of it as they made their way on through. But this is how much you have to be alert to the action, and it can very easily turn away from you at a moment's notice. At the front of this group now is Luke Claver, and it will go all the way back. Willits, Michelet, Proctor, Ashley Norman's now in this one. Steve McMahon, Todd George, Mosmoroz, Brody Cook, Adam Sharp, Lucas Stasi, it goes all the way back to in 17th position. And Glenn Woods trying to chase on to get onto this train, and this is where it gets awkward, because you know everyone wants a top 10. Everyone's thinking about, okay, how do we get one? As into the pits comes Tiny Venables, it seems.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's possibly a little bit more damage to that car than we thought there was. And as a
Oh,
result,
hello,
it's
for the lead.
Down onto the lane. As it's on for the lead between Cam.
3 wide for the lead.
3 wide even, on the way out of turn 2, on the way down towards turn 2. And Brad Ryan's going to end up being the victorious one out of that 3 wide. But here comes Cam around the outside. And he's going to take that one straight off of him. And Harrison looking as well.
Traffic there didn't have much room on the outside. That was some good heads-up awareness, and they're bringing themselves in back through. You feel this is the time, and they're starting to search for it. Harrison on the outside. You got Brad Ryan on that inside line, and just about they've sort themselves out. So Harrison back to second. That all came out of relative nowhere, and it looked like Sonny Kanchin made a minor error coming out of the Sud curve, the final corner.
I want to say it was minor. He ended up running right off the road into the gravel and ended up getting a bit crossed up, but managed to gather it up, and as a result ended up with these 3 all ending up nose to tail on the way down towards turn 2. So luckily they all survive another lap and all make it out the other side, but that could have very easily gone pear-shaped.
Well, they've now got another member of the party at this point in time, halfway through this third race. And it'll be Nick J. Wood who will be there, and who will very much be looking at this as I've just got to stay with this group. Something might happen. They are elite wheelers, so to speak, and the way that they race, very, very difficult to argue against the way that they go out their battle and try and take their places. 1, 2, and 3 through the very, very fast Nord curve, which is always a scary corner, one of which where you've got the anti-cut curve on the inside, and you've got yourself that incredibly wide curve there as you go to the exit. It's so easy just to spin the car through like a traction.
Yeah, and also get a slowdown as well if you run just a little bit too wide. So you've got to try and play it as equal as you possibly can, taking enough of that inside curve to not unsettle the car, but also take enough of that will go wide enough to get a nice good run but not get a slowdown or spin the car. So you've got to be very, very careful through there. But Harrison harassing the back of Sonny Kanchin for the lead of this race. Brad Ryan just sitting in behind, waiting patiently currently, as we'll get a virtual racing school replay to see what's happened further back. Ben Snell again, I'd say, has not had the night that he will have wanted, or the return to the series that he will have wanted. We'll check out what's going to happen. He goes to the inside on the way into turn 2. 3 wide, why don't you? And there's been contact, unfortunately, and Ben Snell again at turn 2.
Well, it seems like different season, same old luck really for Ben Snell. He's not really had much luck in the MX-5. He's an incredibly quick driver in these slower powered machines, and ultimately it doesn't play out the way that maybe it needs to. Still though, it's about now. Kanchin, Harrison, Ryan, they make their charges. They look to go out there and attack, as they know and understand this is not a race for the faint of heart. They know they've got 6.5 minutes to figure themselves forward, and really with the realities of this race, being how it is about these 4 at the front. They've got about 4 seconds to Damien Seeger, and the gap's really opening up. The big fights for the top 10 happening from about 7th place on back at this point in time with Willits and co. And everyone looking behind. You can see right now, that's Ashley Norman and co trying to get in, and this is feisty as anything. Proctor, Norman, Mikolev, you got George there. McMahon's trying to stay with this and isn't managing to. This is an awkward battle. Someone's not going to finish in the top 10, and someone's going to be very upset at the end of it because it starts to be aggressive. We were speaking about aggressive. There it is.
Oh, and that was so close to ending up with Stephen McMahon ending up in that as well, with how close he had to avoid
which way do you
those
go?
two, and which way do you go? It's an absolute mess. Luckily, they're out of it now, but that was not what Norman was going to want, and we nearly called it, and there it was.
Well, we absolutely did. We said that someone's going to have some tears, and it was on cue, looking for the inside, and just tags a quarter panel. It's as simple as Ashley Norman's trying to turn for the corner, and very fortunate. Now watch this. You've got to try and figure out when can you go and actually reverse. Someone very nearly taking themselves out of position, and that is just some elite heads up. Oh, and someone there catching at the very last moment there. The stopped vehicles. They did so well, did everyone, to avoid it, but under 5 minutes to go now. Top 3 very happy to stay as they are. And I think, really, Lee Harrison is just waiting for the right time to strike with Sonny Canchin. You can't go and make a move now, because you know he'll just come straight back at you.
Yeah, and so will Brad Ryan, more than likely, as well. So he's got to be a little bit aware of what's going on around him, make sure that he's going to time this move right, and make sure that he doesn't fall foul to a possible attack from Brad Ryan, who's right on his tail and waiting patiently for the right moment as well. So he's got to be on top of it and make sure that he's not going to cost himself at all. It was nearly 3 wide again for the race lead between these 3, and Lee Harrison getting a very good exit. Actually had to check up there a little bit to make sure he didn't run into the back of Sonny Canchin, but still very close, and anyone's guess as to who's going to come out on top in this one.
Canchin covering the up and under there at the hairpin, but through this right, I think there are some eyes of grandeur towards the race lead. Here comes Lee Harrison. He'll go the long way around the Mobil 1 corner. But again, Canchin on that inside, so committed, covers it off. Harrison not as confident there on that outside. Very nearly opened the door up there to Brad Ryan coming through. And again, just sitting back into this group now as they start fighting. They're going to bring Nick Wood, and there's the 767 of Moz Moroz. That looks like a very sad car that's going to a German scrap heap for the lead. Harrison's not got the run. Canchin holds on again.
Oh, does he? Because he's on the road again, and he's going to cost himself momentum. Ryan's up the inside of Harrison on the way down towards turn 1. He's going to get that move done. Harrison's going to give way and let him on by and not hold themselves up, but Canchin is trying everything he can at the moment to try and break away from these guys.
Yeah, every trick in the book, even trying to get to that lap traffic of Bard Rodkin, who was involved in the incident with Ashley Norman and got a terminal bit of damage, which meant that fast repair had to be used. They do have 2 of them per race, and now they've got that little bit of a gap to figure out. Brad Ryan knows if he wants to make it work, he's got to go and be aggressive, because this is the worst place you want to be. P2, Schrodinger's overtake. You must attack, you must defend.
Yeah, he's got to be of 2 minds here, make sure that he's keeping an eye on what Harrison's doing, but also making sure that he's setting up Canchin for a very good move on that last lap. It's going to be white flag this time by when they get to the stripes. So Harrison going to want to try and set this one up. Ryan's going to want to try and set this one up. Canchin not going to know what to do, but he's going to possibly pull something out of the hat that no one's seen before.
Well, you got to lap in a little bit. How do you want to do it? Again, Canchin dipping a couple tyres into the gravel. He's starting to use all of the track limits now to try and give himself as much of an advantage, and with this iRacing dynamic track, that gravel is going to come up onto circuit. Here comes Brad Ryan with a search. That was a very risky place to try it, and he's trying to scare out now Sonny Canchin, but he remained undeterred through that section of road. 1 lap to go.
Yeah, Canchin's going to go defensive as well, ever so slightly on the way down towards turn 1, then nose to tail. Ryan is there, ready and waiting to pounce. He's ready to get that move done, but Lee Harrison is also waiting, going defensive now on the way down towards turn 2 as Canchin. Ryan looks straight to the inside, heavy on the brakes as late as he can, but Canchin's going to have the momentum around the outside. Some slight contact between the two of them again on the way through turn 3, and here comes Lee Harrison as well, side by side with Brad Ryan on the way down towards the Parabolica. And they're going to be side by side on the way down towards the right-hander as well. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? 3 wide. Why don't you? Canchin's going to be on the inside. Ryan's going to be on the inside. Harrison's going to try to get around the outside.
He can't slow it. This is the key. And now you start to see this. Brad Ryan on the outside, but he's got no room. He's got no room to attack. There's contact. Canchin and Ryan make contact. Wood's going to go up to third. Harrison's going to take the lead, sneaking through on the inside. Not much you can do there. Canchin was trying to cover everybody off, and he left one door open. And just like that, Lee Harrison has control heading into the arena then. Canchin's got to absolutely fly if he wants to make this a clean sweep. He knows he's got the chance to. They go to the Sachs curve. Wide a little bit goes Wood. He's going to fight for the podium here with Brad Ryan. But as they go through, small flick left and right. And the final 2 corners, the Nord curve coming up then to finish off. Sorry, the Sud curve to finish off. Lee Harrison will stop the clean sweep. Canchin gave everything, but ultimately Lee Harrison's going to take one away at the end.
Yeah, and he's going to get one up on Canchin as well towards the championship, exactly what he will have wanted as well. So he's going to be very, very happy with that. Probably not best ideal first 2 races, but he at least got one win on the board. Canchin comes home second. Wood just holds on to third with Brad Ryan throwing a very, very last dip at the final corner, and these guys as well further back. Norman trying his best to try and make something happen, but it's not quite going to work, as it's going to be a drag race to the line, but not quite going to work in his favour.
Yeah, we're seeing all these races now reaching that stage where they know they've got to get there. And some important battles, almost 3 wide here to the exit. Paradiso, Lachlan Phillips and Darren Sharp, all there. It'll be Sharp who takes that battle, but an important finish in terms of the context of this season. Canchin unable to take the clean sweep, and a moral victory, some would say, there for Lee Harrison in race number 3. Just mitigating damage again, an important win. And it's that experience of knowing where to place the car which got it done. Lee Harrison wins by 0.3 of a second in the end over Sonny Canchin, with Nick Wood rounding out the podium. He kept quiet for the majority of that race in 4th place, but was able to sneak up into 3rd ahead of Brad Ryan, who the contact with Sonny Canchin through the Mercedes section, a real big difference maker in terms of that one. Damien Seeger had a quiet and lonely 3rd race there to finish in 5th. With Luke Claver 6th, and what a drive by Lucas Mikulev, by the way, to finish off in 7th, with Jamie Willits in 8th. From 42nd up to 9th was Glenn Wood, as Todd George rounded the top 10.
Sharp, a very, very good display as well from 24th on the grid. Same with Stasi and Losh from 26th and 29th on the grid to finish 12th and 13th. 14th will be the finish and start for McMahon, with Caleb Patterson with a stonking drive from 38th on the grid to 15th. And Brody Cook going to come home at 16th from 30th on the grid. Darren Linus will come home in 17th. Matt Van Egmond 18th, with Ashley Norman and Dave Gogol rounding out the top 20.
Looking down through the field, 21st will go to Brandon McMillan, just ahead of Matthew McMillan there in 22nd position. Tony Vaselis goes 23rd, with Neil McKenzie 24th, and with that extra stop in the box for Tiny Venables, it's 25th position only there for him. Matt Seddon gets 26th, ahead of Darren Sharp, Philip Paradiso and Graham Ellis, who were split over the line by 0.4 of a second. With John Thorne rounding out the top 30.
And Mark Foster going to come home in 31st after that spinning incident on the opening lap. Ben Ferguson at 32nd. Aaron Oliver comes home in 33rd to score very, very important points despite that power cut. 34th will go to Raimundo with it. Bard Rodkin in 35th. Connors, McCulloch, Domingo. And then you got Phillips, Knowles, Seddon, Holmes, Moroz, Proctor, Snell, Joel Smith, and Goodger and Hobby all laps down, unfortunately.
Yeah, a really tough day for a lot of drivers there. Many laps down. You can see the retirees on your screen right now. And ultimately a bit of a disaster in terms of that effort. But we are going to take this time to jump in very quickly with our post-race interviews here at the Simworx Roadster Rumble. And Lee Harrison will be very happy picking up that victory in race number 3. But Lee, really a race for you of having to be patient here today. Race 1, it looked like you had the opportunities to go out there. You had to try and fight hard for second. Race 2, it looked like patience went away from a couple of drivers in front of you and the chance of victory fell away. And again, it was third place. But how important is that final race for you in terms of being in the right place at the right time, using the experience to get to the inside when contact was made?
Yeah, what a night. Mayhem was the words to describe it, but you're absolutely right. Just had to position the car right, be patient as much as I could. It's super important to just get one done over Sonny. He's been pretty unstoppable, and just to prove to myself, and I've been so close so many times that I can take the win and capitalize. Like you said, I got pushed back a little bit in the running order there. I definitely had pace enough to probably win a couple more races tonight, to be honest. But yeah, look, I'm not going to cry myself to sleep over the results I've had tonight. We've had a pretty good night.
You've had a pretty good night, but let's talk about how important it is at this point in time to just get the focus in. It's a track which today that almost was a little bit difficult to get those overtakes done. It wasn't always going to be automatic. Do you feel like that really reciprocating the way that people were driving, that, people were looking to try and force maybe 50, 30% moves?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard, but I think I proved enough times tonight that you didn't have to do that from, 10 or so car lengths back to dive up the inside. So, yeah, look, I just needed to position myself. It's super important that we got through that race without or any of those races without being spun around or getting ourselves in any drama. So just tried to keep my head level this evening and try to limit the damage to Sonny. He's got a pretty big lead in the championship at the moment. So happy to claw a little bit back on him in that last race. Obviously, he had two good races to start off the night, so he probably still pulled away from us in the championship. But he knows I'm hunting him now, and I think this is the first one that I've beaten him in. So fingers crossed we can make this a little bit more frequent on the run home for the championship.
The mountain awaits 1 week from today, Mount Panorama Bathurst. Do you feel like maybe if there is any circuit where anything is possible and anything can happen, it's that track which maybe could get you back on course for a championship push?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing some racing there this week in the Advanced Mazda series in the officials on iRacing, and it doesn't take much to have a big crash there. You just got to lose your concentration for 1 split second over the top of the mountain, and you're in the fence. So if I think I've learnt with Sonny, if I keep the pressure on with him, he becomes a bit vulnerable. So I'll just keep pushing hard, stay on his tail, or hopefully be in front of him and force him into overdriving to keep up. But yeah, I've done a lot of laps around there this week, so I'm feeling pretty confident going into next week.
Floor's yours, Lee. Shout out sponsors. Who gets it done?
You guys at SimSpeed, thanks for going through all of the broadcast stuff that everyone had some troubles tonight to get started. Simworx simulators, again, sitting in one of their kits right now, and it's absolutely the best thing I've ever done. Wolfchester Automotive Consumables, Duo Trading, AMD Freight, KP Tech, Haynes Constructions, Rinaldi Automotive Towing, Phoenix Smokers, and of course, last but not least, my favorite skincare products, Palmer's. I've got a cut in one of my gloves, and I'm getting a bit of a sore spot in my hand here. So lucky I've got the help of Palmer's to soothe that skin out.
Well, there you have it. Lee Harrison there joining us then. A victory in race number 3 overall, and apparently his number has very much been found out. Apparently he knows Sonny Canchin's weakness. Sonny Canchin right now stood by with Cameron Dance.
Yeah, certainly a very, very strong result for you tonight, Sonny, with 2 wins in a second. Nearly made it a clean sweep, but not quite in the end.
Hi, Cam. Yep, you're right. It was an exciting race. I really enjoyed it up until that last corner. Just left enough gap. I think I made a mistake going into too hot I was pretty much focused on not Lee, but Brad, and just made a mistake. So just enough for Lee to squeeze through. Otherwise, it was it was a great race. Racing with everyone up front there, enjoyed it a lot.
You know, obviously this track very, very flowing with not too many heavy braking zones, all about mostly keeping up momentum. So the draft train for a lot of the time, for some of the packs at least, was very, very long. And in some parts, you managed to get a breakaway very, very easily. Did you find that the draft made it very, very difficult for holding position and defending, or was it just all about timing and positioning your car right?
It's mostly for me up at the front. It was mostly about timing and positioning and keeping that momentum going. I think patience plays, even though it was just a short sprint race for 15 minutes. That's not mostly we're used to, I think, in other races. But it's still important that the first couple of laps to not be too aggressive. I think we've seen that. I've seen that happening. And my commiserations to the guys who got caught out in the first and second round and let me get away. But in that sense, yeah, it's all about timing and positioning. And there's so much to lose if you get something wrong in the corner, even if it's fast corner, you brake in too late or brake in too early. There's so much to lose on this track. It's all about the momentum, Cam.
Well, we head to the mountain Bathurst next week. We've seen you do pretty well in the past in these things around the mountain. Are we going to expect something similar, or maybe are we going to expect something else?
I want to do pretty well again. So hopefully, I'll give it my best. And it's getting really, really challenging and more competitive every week. Love racing with the guys in the front and who are racing alongside me, and everyone I'm actually getting to know during the practice sessions, and they've been picking up the pace, so to speak, and loving the community as a whole. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope I don't make the same mistake again. I'll keep an eye out for Lee.
Well, shout out sponsors. Anyone you like to thank, just real quick?
Just a quick shout out to WBT, Simworx for sponsoring the league. Palmer's, Samsung, KP Tech, and the Duo Trading.
Well, there you have it, Sperry. One very, very happy Sonny Canchin with the way this championship is looking. It's looking like it's going to be one very, very fierce one with not too much longer left in the season.
Absolutely not. Mount Panorama Bathurst, 1 week from today, round 5. And it'll be same time, same place. If you want to get yourself in on the action, well, the chance to watch it is right here with us at SimSpeed TV. And of course, massive thanks to those who get it done for us. First and foremost to our wonderful partners at the Virtual Racing School, sponsors the replays here at SimSpeed TV. And of course, you've heard them all already. The sponsors of this series: AMD Freight, KP Tech, Haynes, Palmer's, Rinaldi, Automotive Towing, Phoenix Smokers, Duo Trading, Wolfchester, and of course your title sponsor Simworx for the Roadster Rumble, bringing itself into full view out there overall. From Cam Dance, Jay Kennedy on the cameras for us. My name's been Jake Sperry. You think you've got the secret? It's not quite as simple as that. You've still got a massive points haul to go and claw back. But the mountain does not forgive. The mountain does not forget. And the mountain does not care how much iRacing you have. Doesn't care how much of a driving talent you are. It will take its victims and it will choose who is worthy to win at it. You will see so 1 week from today, Mount Panorama. See you there.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh
him.
my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?